Janice, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to hang out with you again.
Yes, why don't you give them, from your perspective, how we met in Encinitas, or was it Oceanside?
Yeah, that was hilarious. I was at Pride with my kiddo and we
hmm
were like about to order food and somebody comes up to me and is like, "Have you ever had strawberry tamales?" And I was just like blindsided and it was Kathleen.
Yeah,
And yeah, you just like came right up to me and said hello and we hit it off. It was so nice. It was just
yeah.
what the doctor ordered that day.
It was. I mean, I don't know about y'all. I've never heard of strawberry tamales. I'm from Arizona, so I'm a big fan of tamales. Every Christmas, I hit up my sorority sisters, who it's a Latino-based sorority. I'm like, yo, give me all the tamales. But I never heard of a strawberry one, so I was all like, can anybody give me context how delicious or not delicious this strawberry tamale is? But you didn't get that. You got just there are other delicious tamales.
Right. I was not helpful, but I was very happy to make a new friend. Um,
Yeah. Yes, I will. I'm gonna highly recommend it, y'all. It tasted like strawberries along with strawberry sauce. So highly recommend. 10 out of 10. We obviously have so much to talk about. We talked about a little bit off camera, your background in the film industry and in TV and MTV and things of that sort. And I'm just like, okay, let's just press record because I may be getting into some territories in my curiosity in my childhood if I get to know the truth of what was really going on. But also at the same time, I'm really excited just to hear what the work is actually like, but also how now you're transcribing all of that into being a creative coach. But as you know, I love to just go back from the beginning when you were a kiddo, talking about when you were in Germany, things of that sort. Maybe my best guess is maybe military family, or maybe just like we just ended up in Germany, and that's just what it is. So why don't you start us off from there?
okay, yeah, I was born in Germany in a small town called Heidelberg that like has a castle and is just like a beautiful cobblestone streets and magical place. My father was indeed in the army, and he left and moved back to Alabama when I was 2.
Mm,
And my mom is German, and we lived in Germany until I was 4, at which point my mom decided to move us to the island of Martha's Vineyard. You know, at a young age, I wanted to move to New York City. I visited, I had a family there, and I already felt like the city and the comfort of just the pace of life and the many different things you see there and the many different cultures. I was always grateful to like talk about the melting pot and learn about
mm,
different cultures in elementary school. But
mm.
the first time I actually experienced that melting pot was not on Martha's Vineyard, but in New York City. And I couldn't wait to move there. And I finally did after college. And yeah, those 13 years, like I got to just be beautiful every day and just like, just be a
Mm.
person, just be human. I just so strongly believe that everyone is beautiful and humans are miracles. And it's nice to just get to live in a place that makes that possible
Yeah.
for people.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that moment. I feel like, which I'm sure wasn't easy, and me, it's always such a deep curiosity. I don't know why. I can't, to be fully transparent, like I think about my interviewing style and I think about what I get into, and it's just like I can't help but my being is just so curious of what we were like when we were younger because I feel like it plays into so much of the work that we pursue, probably initially, what the world's telling us we should probably pursue, or whatever the case may be. But just like, I'm always so curious of like when one of those moments that really have imparted in our hearts so that it brings us back to the work that we truly find ourselves love doing in the seasons that we're in. So that's why it's like, I tell folks, I'm like, yeah, let's challenge my choice, share what you want to share. But also, I'm like, can't just get I can't go through the cliff notes of someone's life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My body just is like, wait a second. What you just, I love it. What you just did, you're like, let's fast forward to after college. I was like, yeah, but like everyone talks about that. Everyone talks about the highlight reels and the things that accomplish. But I'm just like, there's things in here that I feel like are just being remissed. And I feel like if we were truly sitting around the campfire, which this is the modern day campfire, would you just give your grandchildren the highlight reel?
No,
Is that
I want my child to know everything about me, and I want her to not have to be shocked that her childhood had an impact on her. I lost my father when I was 2, and I just thought, cool, I don't have any daddy issues. Can you believe it?
mm,
But what I didn't realize was that they just manifested in a different way. Like I became very armored and very perfectionist and very like, I am going
mm,
to put on this mask that everything is going well, and I was very competitive in school, and I just did all the things I had to do to succeed and not have, any connection with um,
yeah.
that
Yeah.
past. I was like, this cannot possibly hold me back. But
Mm,
later in life, I realized that that armor like didn't allow me to connect with others as my authentic self. It didn't allow me to be my true self as a parent, and I had to like
mm,
become more vulnerable, and I had to realize that like, oh, my daddy issues are the fact that I prepare
hmm,
to be abandoned. I'm like, I got this. Like, go. So it's just like, yeah, our childhoods are so rich with information, and it's not about dredging up the pain. It's about like getting curious and then responding as you would like to have been responded to,
mm-hmm.
rewriting the story, right?
Yeah. Mm,
Work on myself in this time where I am completely brand new. I'm like reborn myself,
mm,
and I need so much help and support, and I need to learn how to regulate my nervous system so that my child can feel safe and at ease. Um, it was like, oh, I can't
mm,
fake it anymore. I can't just like, I always came off as cool, calm, and
yeah.
collected. People would always, if it was like, let's write down one nice thing about each other, it was like, in the eighth grade newspaper, it was like the stately Janice Vogel knew how to perform. I danced on stage, I did theater, I always knew how. Like if somebody, I was the kid in high school who would like pretend to be a mom on the phone and be like, and it doesn't. My kid can see straight through me to this day. She's like, I don't like your voice. I'm like,
Mm,
oh, you can just tell that I'm like trying to play mom right now. I have to like embody the whole thing. Whatever I am, I have to be the whole thing. And I want her to be her whole self. I don't want her to spend 30 years faking it till she makes it. I don't want her to spend 30 years like being like, oh, you want me to dress like this? Okay, I can do that. And like,
mm,
oh, you want me to fit into this box? Like, I can do that. Watch, look at me. Can you ever be popping yet? Like, I'm a pretzel. Um, so
mm.
I just, yeah, it was a transition in my life, um, and just a huge change of mindset. And I with my energy and resources to shifting my way of thinking, my way of living, myself, my respect for my own needs. Like, oh, these my needs are my needs, and I can like negotiate when and how they're met, but they aren't going to go away. If I try to suppress them, they will just come out in very inconvenient ways.
Mm,
So that learning was just uh, really incredible. And,
yeah.
it was a beautiful gift to
Yeah.
go through time because it really informed all of my choices since then.
Yeah. I've always had this image of moms, folks who become parents, those who give life, how a cape grows around y'all's neck, an invisible cape grows around the neck. And whether you're with your kiddo or
Mhm.
not, the cape can be felt and seen. Maybe
I
not
love
seen, but
that.
you can feel it and see it, that it's there. I'm just curious, do you feel like
Yeah.
you have are growing an invisible cape? The cape grew in the first 2 years, just kind of that concept in general. I only say that because it's more probably an admiration. I'm like, would I ever grow a cape? Then I hear stories like this. I think I'm just gonna stick to being the cool auntie,
You know,
babysitter, or
I
whatever the
definitely
case may be.
don't
I think
share
you all
this
need
to like
support in one
have a
way or another.
cautionary
So,
tale.
so yeah. What are your
It's
thoughts?
like definitely there's no joke that it takes a village, and I thought that meant eventually get a babysitter, but it actually means like mother the mother until the mother can fully mother the child. Like there's a circle of life that's necessary for things to be regenerative. It's just yeah, but I definitely love
Hmm.
that visual for knowing that. And mostly like I I do feel this superpower of not giving a shit what other people think, and like not being embarrassed by like not being embarrassed of my child's feelings and emotions. Like I don't have time to waste on embarrassment. And my mission in life is for people to get that sense of power to be their full selves before they have a kid, whether they have kids or not. Like, I want that to happen for people earlier because we had it as kids. We come out of the womb loving ourselves, loving others, like
Yeah.
fully like human and ready to just be whoever we are. And then we learn like tile by tile what is expected of us, what gets us more love, what gets us, and we subconsciously and subconsciously like shift our beings to conform to what keeps us safe. And so that's not to shame us for our coping mechanisms. That's to actually say, like, thank you. Thank you for thinking you needed to fake it for so long. Like, thank you for trying to conform so you could be safe. Like, how wise are we as kids to do what we have to do to feel safe? So thank you for that. And now,
Hmm.
like, let's build our own safety and let's build our own space where we can fully be ourselves and we can say, like, you know what, you don't have to do that anymore.
I will say, from raised as an only child to only child, like, and to have a parent that was just present, is already so huge, you know? So I hope that like you can like celebrate that and know that like as you're unraveling those things with her, like I just think about my upbringing. I imagine I have questions, you know, and it's like I didn't have a present parent to unravel those things with me. So that's why I think my passion of collecting stories of people is trying to unravel humanity for myself and be like, I'm just trying to make sense of the world, you know? So like kudos for you for just like being available and being willing to be in the messy parts of all of that. I could
And um and at that age, there was kind of a late bloomer. I haven't been out since elementary or high school,
mm,
so I'm like not officially in the club and like I kind of yeah, had this stigma that I wasn't like real enough because I was 25. And I can't believe that now because that was like 20, whatever age you come out is real. And
mm,
there's no such thing as a late bloomer in my mind. Come to think of it, I'm just realizing that
mm,
now. Like, I feel like that term kind of
mm,
is a sort of a shame-driven term, but you know, if you can own it too, but you know, I kind of shamed myself for not being like out my whole life and not going through that
mm.
experience that my partner had gone through of like being so brave and different in elementary school and high school. Like I'm just very impressed by that. And um yeah, it's everybody has a different experience and um I'd say yeah, in this parent really motivated me or inspired with my queerness and be all the things that I am. Um, I want my child to know me. I want to be my full self. So,
Us more about this your late bloomer realizations only because gosh, I don't know, but just my observation kind of thinking about young people, thinking about the fastness of our lives right now and what we're seeing and feeling like we're all late to something apparently. You know what I mean? So yeah, I would love for you to just expand on that because I feel like you're saying at 25 at that time, that's when maybe that that term was coming around, but man, I could feel like it's showing up for a lot of people nowadays as we're
Yeah,
just trying to
yeah.
urgently rush to
And
something
you know, what
that
comes to
we don't
mind
really
is
know what
just
we're
like
rushing
healing
towards. So
journeys. You know, I really
expand on that.
initiated my healing journey in a serious way 5 years ago. And so much of what that has entailed is like black and white thinking and allowing for shades of gray. Those shades of gray can like relate to identities, can relate to time.
Mm.
And it's just so important to find curiosity. To be curious, you need to feel safe. And so like finding ways to reduce stress and like find that explore and to
Mm.
be curious and to like this person one day and like that person another day, and like there's no rules. The more variety you can allow yourself, exploration, as you see, when you're inspired to explore. um and getting away from that, like, well, what is my great grandmother gonna Aunt Susan gonna think, and what is my boss gonna think? And yeah, it's been a beautiful process to like realize that the world doesn't end when you slow down, you allow engage in the things that are
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
knocking on your intuition, right? Because intuition and attraction, these are like quiet whispers sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but that's some of the thoughts that make us think that we need to be on the outside of a circle. And I think, belonging is a huge experience. That's one of the two things we want the first from when we were born. We want to belong, and through belonging we get everything else. We are taken care of, are loved because we belong. And so those, I've been realizing that to a degree
Mm.
belonging is a choice. If we are lucky enough to um find the people that we want to belong to, then we can treat ourselves. And I think that's like part of like what I talk about in terms of putting yourself out there, as like, yeah, you have to you have to
Mm.
insert yourself and give yourself permission to have that belonging. I guess it relates to always wanting to be chosen. And if I'm not chosen, then I'm not, I can't be a part of it. Like if somebody, doesn't choose me to be their partner, then I'm less valid in some way. So flipping a little bit of that into like, well, wait, um, and going for that is just
Mm.
really awesome. And in some ways, I did that when I was 25, and so
Yeah.
having that pride is a beautiful thing. Sort of rewrite that late bloomer story,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm
I love
like
that.
reblooming in a different way now, and I feel like
That
everybody's
part.
going through cycles
Mm.
of composting and blooming, right? You talked about coming into your 30s now and rewriting the
Mm-hmm.
stories
Mm-hmm.
again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Creative juices flowing. I love that part of it, but it's also um, usually requires about 10 to 12 hours a day. And I miss out on my kid big time, and that's been really painful. Um, and so I have long periods where I have time off, and I in the starting my coaching business a few years ago. And yeah, I'm a creative coach, so um, I use my creativity um, to help people put themselves out there in many ways, on social media, in connecting with the
Yeah.
people they want to connect with.
I love that.
And yeah, I made a signature program called Pivot, which is a program that is a healing journey that also helps people go from like dreading putting themselves out there to wanting to put themselves out there. Um, I hear that a lot. Like, I just have to put myself out there. And
Mm.
when I think about that phrase, it's like starts with, and that makes it seem like it's simple, which it's not. There's obviously something blocking
Mm.
you from doing that.
Mm.
And then it's like pudding. You have to
Mm.
put yourself like up on a cliff's edge where everyone is watching and laughing at you or something. So there's this like pudding, and that's challenging. And then it's like yourself. Well, who are you? So,
Mm.
you have to know who you are to put yourself out there. And oftentimes
Mm.
you're talking about a time of great transition, and it's just the time where you want to like hide and close up, and you have to put yourself out there. And it's this um like tension, right? And out there in the great wilderness, like on a
Mm.
hilltop in the wind by yourself. And so, yeah, I just noticed that the great majority of my clients, I hold their hands as they gain the confidence to put themselves out there. So I'm kind of a confidence coach and a relationship coach for your relationship with yourself. Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
when did the
when I
coaching
had
start
my
pinging for
kid and
you
I
that that's
just
what you
like
wanted to
was like,
transition
oh,
into?
my childhood was traumatic. I had no idea. And I want to break the cycle. And I'm going to learn how to do that on the job.
Mm.
Um, I I had a friend who was posting a lot of things, and I was like, ooh, this is exactly what I'm like reading about and thinking about. And it turned out she was going through a coaching certification program. And so I signed up for the same program. Like, I'm so lucky that I intersected with her. Because that, yeah, was life changing, and it gave me the strength to in radical ways. Like, reading books was really helpful, but doing the coaching certification program gave me this like validation as a human, and like this just this strength to change my life. I ended up marriage and moving to California, the hardest and scariest decisions of my life during that program. Um, and I just was like, well, if I want to be a
Mm.
coach, I need to be
Mm.
living the life I want to be living, and I can't be holding off. You know, I guess it's this, have we worked hard enough at this relationship or at this certain life path? Like, could I do more to make it better before I quote unquote give up on it? And at a certain point, like, you have to realize that like
Yeah.
you don't give up on healthy, or harmful to you in some way. So it's been a very validating and beautiful journey to like put myself first and like realize that the world doesn't crumble, but it actually builds from there. It's been really, really amazing and hard, but great.
Mm-hmm.
Janis.
And I think that's what I was gonna ask is like how has it been
Yeah.
putting yourself out there and
Yeah.
transitioning
My
to
mother
some
was
level of
an
entrepreneurship
entrepreneur
now?
growing up, and she was always like, you got to be your own boss. And I think she's had a lot of patience with me, as I have always had a boss for the last 10, 20 years. Um, and there have been moments
Mm.
where I'm like, oh, I have to do this all by my, figure it all out on my own. And the truth is that every successful person has a team and has a village. And it's not that I need to have a
Mm.
team of people I hired, but as a coach, I also always have a coach, and I have mentors, and I tap into to help me as an
Mm.
entrepreneur. It's so important to still have community in building a business. And I'm like, note to self right now. I'm like reminding myself, like, I have support to do this. Because it can be a scary road to do something new. But,
Hmm.
you know, I also remind myself like we're all doing this life thing for the first time. Isn't that wild to think? Like everyone's doing this for the first time. So
Hmm. You were see this next endeavor for you. I'm the vision that has
I
been
was
planted in your
watching a
heart
really
that you want to see
inspiring
through.
series called Abstract, and this woman, if you want to build big, you have to think small. And it's about like really thinking about the cellular level of what you're doing.
Hmm.
And so, you know, your question really brings up like what's the next step? And
Hmm.
and sometimes like I'm sort of pendulating in groups and um just getting to speak more and share their voice, you know? Like I was reading Audre Lorde one morning and she just had this line about like if we don't speak, like we're gonna keep it inside and it's gonna like decay there or something. Like we have sometimes I just was always of the mindset like there's no point somebody's definitely gonna listen, definitely gonna understand, and definitely gonna like do whatever it is that I need them to do with this information. And what I didn't realize is that like speaking is doing myself justice. If I have
Hmm.
something to say, it's my responsibility to say it. It's my responsibility to myself, and I feel better after I say it. It's like digestion. It's important to say it no matter how it's for the other person. Once it's out, it's not my responsibility how it lands for somebody else. If they love it, if they don't love it, that's not on me anymore.
Hmm.
So it's just been a liberating time.
Yeah. 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 Any final thoughts or words of advice
Hmm.
for yourself, or I don't even maybe even for your little
Yeah,
one too, but just the
you
last
know, I really just
bow
appreciate
tie
this
on all
time to
this.
like be my full self here with you and hang out with you. And I just think it's like it's truly my definition of success to be, and I just want that for others. I think that when we heal ourselves one person at a time, we heal the world.
Hmm.
So I'm really grateful that you just walked up to me like a
Hmm.
human being and said hi. And I was like, hi, I like you. Just you know, simplify.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean,
Oh, I would be so down.
maybe you're
It's
gonna
a
have to
date.
try the strawberry tamale with me next time. Would you be down? Okay.